Prologue, the footsteps that shouldn't exist. Deep in the Bavarian countryside, where the woods breathe mist and the nights carry no sound, stood a small farmhouse called Hinterkaifeck. On the final day of March, in 1922, 6 people were brutally murdered there. An entire family, wiped out with a farm tool. It's a mystery that still chills Germany more than a century later. Because what the police found made absolutely no sense. There were footsteps, a single set, leading from the deep woods to the farm in the snow. But none leading away. Viewer discretion is advised. Chapter 1. The family at Hinterkaifeck. The Gruber family lived an isolated, almost hermetic life. The patriarch, Andreas Gruber, was a strict, deeply religious man of 63, but he also carried a reputation for cruelty and a temper that could sour the air. His wife, Cecilia, was quiet, worn down by years of hardship and her husband's harsh nature. Living with them was their daughter, Victoria Gabriel, a widow in her mid-30s, and her 2 young children, 7-year-old Cecilia and the baby, 2-year-old Joseph. Their farm sat utterly alone, a full half-mile from the nearest neighbor. Winters there were bone-chillingly cold and brutally isolating. They had no telephone, no automobile. There was nothing but the vast, silent expanse of fields, the dark tree-line of the forest, and a profound, heavy silence. But in the days leading up to the massacre, that silence began to fracture. It began with the footsteps. A single track appearing in the fresh snow, leading from the forest directly to their back door. Andreas searched the property, rifle in hand. He found no one. And more unnervingly, no prints leading away. It was as if a ghost had walked out of the woods and vanished at their doorstep. Soon after, the phenomena escalated. The family heard doors creaking open in the dead of night, only to find them shut tight in the morning. A set of house keys vanished without a trace. And then came the sounds from above, the distinct, unnerving echo of footsteps in the attic. They were not alone in the house. Months earlier, their maid had quit abruptly, terrified, claiming the farm was haunted. The new maid, a woman named Maria Baumgartner, arrived on March 31st, 1922. It was her first day. It would also be her last. But before we continue, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the like button below. Now back to the story. Chapter 2, The Night of the Murders. No one knows the precise sequence of events that unfolded on that terrible night. The truth died with the Grubers. But from the bloodstains, the disarray, and the silent testament of the dead, investigators pieced together a timeline of pure horror. It seems the killer, patient and methodical, lured the family into the barn, one by one. Perhaps it was a strange noise, a flicker of a lantern, or a familiar voice calling for help. But there, under the heavy wooden rafters, and the scent of hay and livestock, someone waited with a mattock, a heavy, brittle farming tool, somewhere between a pickaxe and an adze. Andreas Gruber was likely the first to go. A man known for his strength, he was struck down from behind. Then his wife, Cecilia. Then their daughter, Victoria. Finally, little 7-year-old Cecilia. The autopsy later revealed she had torn out clumps of her own hair in sheer, abject terror before the final blows fell. With the 4 of them lying in the hay, the killer then walked, seemingly without panic, back into the main house. There, he moved from room to room, a phantom of death. He murdered baby Joseph as he slept in his crib, and then killed the new maid, Maria, in her own bedchamber. 6 victims. 1 weapon. And a killer who, inexplicably, decided to stay. Chapter 3, The days after. For 4 long days, life at Hinterkaifeck appeared to go on. Neighbors, accustomed to the Grubers' reclusive nature, simply assumed they were busy, or perhaps visiting relatives. Smoke was seen rising from the chimney. The cattle and other animals were fed and watered. Someone was still living in the house. It wasn't until April 4th, when the mailman noticed the post piling up and young Kazilia hadn't shown up for school, that a search party of locals decided to investigate. What they stumbled into was a scene from a nightmare. Inside the barn, they found the bodies of Andreas, his wife, his daughter, and granddaughter, stacked in the hay and covered with a door. Inside the house, they found the others. Blood had streaked the floors and soaked into the bedding. The family dog was found tied up in the barn, alive, but barking hysterically. The scene was one of total carnage, but the police discovered something even more disturbing. Whoever had committed these atrocities had not fled. They had stayed. They lived in the house for days, eating food from the pantry, milking the cows, and tending to the livestock. They slept in a warm bed, just feet away from the bodies of their victims. And on the kitchen table, police found something that deepened the mystery even further: a recent newspaper from Munich. It was a publication that no one in the remote village of Groburn, let alone the Grubers, subscribed to. The killer hadn't just stayed, they had made themselves at home, reading the paper while the evidence of their horrific crime lay cooling all around them. Chapter 4: The investigation. The investigation quickly descended into chaos. Hundreds of suspects were questioned, but no solid answers emerged. Police initially focused on vagrants and wandering soldiers, common in post-war Germany. But the trail always went cold. Then, a chilling rumor began to circulate. What if Victoria's husband, Karl Gabriel, reported killed in the trenches of World War I, hadn't died after all? What if he had faked his death, returned, and exacted some terrible revenge? As the official investigation stalled, darker whispers slithered through the village. Locals spoke of secrets kept behind the Grubers' closed doors, of an unnatural relationship between Andreas and his daughter, Victoria. Rumors claimed that little Joseph, the baby, wasn't Karl Gabriel's son, but the product of incest. Could the massacre have been a twisted form of punishment? A judgment delivered by a shadowy figure? Or was it retribution from a scorned lover, driven mad by jealousy? Yet, the physical evidence kept pointing back to a chillingly intimate scenario. The footsteps in the snow leading to the farm but not away. The fact that the livestock had been fed in the days leading up to the discovery of the bodies. The missing house key. This wasn't a random act of violence. The killer knew the farm, knew its routines, and moved about the property with a terrifying familiarity. The police turned their attention to the neighbors. One man, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, stood out. He had been Victoria's suitor before her marriage and was rumored to have fathered Joseph. He held a key to the property. Most damningly, he was one of the first people to discover the bodies, and witnesses reported his behavior at the scene as strangely calm, almost detached. Despite the heavy suspicion, there was never enough concrete evidence to tie him directly to the murders. The investigation was a labyrinth of dead ends, whispers, and fear. Chapter 5: The theories. Over the decades, as the official case files gathered dust, the theories multiplied like ghosts in the Bavarian fog. Each one tried to give a face to the evil that had visited Hinterkaifeck, but none could fully account for the brutal, methodical nature of the crime. The first and simplest theory was that of a deranged drifter. A homeless man, desperate for food and shelter, who stumbled upon the isolated farm. In this version of events, he was discovered by the family and, in a fit of panic or rage, eliminated them one by one. But this theory crumbles under scrutiny. Nothing of value was stolen from the farm. The killer remained for days, tending to the animals. This wasn't the work of a panicked transient, it was something far more personal and patient. The second theory centers on revenge. Perhaps a man wronged by Victoria, or someone who had suffered under her father Andreas's notoriously tyrannical and abusive nature, decided to settle a score in the most final way imaginable. This theory explains the personal nature of the attack, the rage directed at the family. But who? The list of people who disliked Andreas Gruber was long, but who among them was capable of such a monstrous act, and why kill the entire family, including 2 small children and the new maid? Then there is the most persistent suspect, Lorenz Schlittenbauer. The spurned lover, possibly the biological father of little Joseph, who wanted Victoria for himself. Did she refuse him one last time? Did his desire curdle into a possessive rage that consumed not only Victoria but everyone in that house? He lived just a short distance away, knew the farm intimately, and had a plausible motive. His strange behavior after the discovery of the bodies only fueled the suspicion. Lorenz Schlittenbauer died in 1941, taking any secrets he might have had to his grave, never having been charged with the crime. Finally, there is the theory that transcends the rational, the one whispered by the fire on long winter nights. The supernatural. Many locals swore the farm was cursed long before the murders. They claimed Andreas Gruber wasn't just investigating strange noises, he was being lured. They believed the footsteps he found in the snow, leading from the forest to his home, were not human at all. That something ancient and evil had been called to Hinterkaifeck, and the Grubers were simply its prey. This belief didn't die with the family. Years later, when the farmhouse was finally demolished, workers tasked with dismantling the structure reported eerie, inexplicable sounds, phantom footsteps, coming from the empty attic. Chapter 6, The Unending Cold. Today, more than a century later, the Hinterkaifeck case officially remains open. The killer's identity is a ghost, buried beneath a century of snow and silence. In 2007, a final, modern attempt was made to solve the crime. Forensic students from the Fürstenfeldbruck Police Academy re-examined the evidence using contemporary DNA analysis techniques. But the passage of time had been too cruel. The evidence was too old, too degraded. The secrets of that night were lost forever. 6 innocent people, their lives stolen by a shadow who simply vanished like breath in the freezing air. The farm itself is gone now, torn down as if to erase the memory of the horror. All that remains is an open field, marked only by a small shrine. But the story endures. On cold, clear winter nights, some locals still say that if you listen closely, you can hear faint cries carried on the wind, the final, unheard pleas from the house that once stood at the edge of the woods. Epilogue, footsteps in the snow. Evil doesn't always roar. It doesn't always announce its arrival with thunder and lightning. Sometimes, it walks softly, leaving only a single set of footprints in the snow. And the silence it leaves behind is the loudest, most terrifying sound of all. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved. Thank you for joining us on this investigation into one of history's darkest mysteries. If you find these explorations of the unknown as fascinating as we do, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. We have many more stories to share from the shadows. Stay safe and stay curious.